Hey guys, Bicepspump here, bringing another weekly whatever to talk about the DPS Death Knight with some recent both buffs, nerfs, dinos, and quite a really advantageous play when it comes to dismissing and resummoning your pet. We'll get that towards the end. As always, let's talk about what has actually happened and how it impacts us and what we should feel about things. First of all, Unholy got some significant nerfs to the Blood Beast. So, we can read it here. For Sun Lane, Pact of the Sun Lane now stores 25% of all shadow damage dealt into Blood Beast was 50%. So if you guys are unfamiliar how Blood Beast works, is that it procs, you then deal lots of shadow damage that gets stored into the Blood Beast into this huge kind of damage buff, and when it finishes, it explodes for a percentage of that. So previously, effectively 1/8 of your total shadow damage you dealt was dealt to every single target. So you got this really powerful quadratic scaling, which is why you could see like 300 million Blood Beasts. Now, this is a 50% nerf to that conversion rate. So instead of converting 1/8, it's now 1/16 of your overall shadow damage. And your Blood Beasts are essentially going to do half the damage. It's not exactly half, because there's also a component getting stored from what the Blood Beast does itself, and that wasn't nerfed. But that wasn't like a huge chunk of it. So it's not exactly 50%, but it's somewhere between 40 and 50% nerfs. I mean, it depends on situations. Now, how does this impact us? What's the vibe? Honestly, we're still very powerful. How much exactly it decreases your damage, it depends. I think on average, it might be around 3%. If you're really lucky in a dungeon where you previously Blood Beast at like 10% of your overall DPS, it's now going to be roughly 5%, and so on. It's just going to be half, essentially. So obviously we do less damage, but still we do really good overall. And based on what I've seen for the rankings, actually I haven't looked at it well. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, okay. So Unholy is still up there, but I see some of the high keys are now running Retribution and Demon Hunter instead. So you might have been, we might not be the very, very top meta, but there's still so many Unholy DKs towards the top because we do a lot of damage. We got some buffs there. Race Abomination got buffed, and Army of the Damned, Magus Frostbolt got buffed. I think fundamentally this does not change much. It means that for raid, pure single target, the commander version of Sun Lane and the Rider Apocalypse build are now better. But honestly, in the raid, we almost always just run Super Strain. And even on the bosses that are like pure single target almost, we still run Sun Lane because Sun Lane Super Strain because Rider Abomination is so slow, and that has an impact with lots of movement and things. So I think that's the general vibe. So yeah, this doesn't change anything at all. It just helps to kind of counteract and bring up your single target. And it's like, something around a 2% buff-ish. Alright, so that's the changes. Let's talk about Dinos. So they came out for us, our EU boys, was it yesterday? And then US people the day before. You just do 4 dungeons or kill 4 raid bosses, and it gives you this currency you can buy items from. The raid and mythic class. Now, importantly, the eye level of these items depends on the difficulty content you've completed. So for the raid, if you kill a boss on heroic, you can buy a heroic version of the item for that boss. And mythic, can be a mythic version. For mythic plus, it's all 12s completed for mythic version of items. Now this makes it a bit more tricky. Furthermore, it also really depends on what you have currently equipped. But still, let's talk about Unholy and Frost, what you should be kind of looking at to get, and what kind of you need to consider when you do so. For Unholy, we essentially have best in slots for your weapon. This is probably going to be one of your first picks, but also it depends. Like if you killed one at Arbit on heroic and you have like a crafted mythic weapon, it's not going to be an upgrade to use best in slots. But if you kill a mythic, you definitely want to pick that up. Also, be careful about when you sim this for drop demiser. If you currently have an equipped crafted weapon, replacing that often means losing an embellishment. And if you're running Ascension, that is 2 embellishment because your other embellishment just buffs your weapon 1. Just keep that in mind. Probably running the top gear with proper replacements for your embellishments to give a best view. We also have House of Cards. This is our best unused trinket. Again, as I said, if you have just done one-armed bandit on heroic, it's going to be a tricky one because then trinkets from like delves and Mythic Plus is going to be higher relatively. We also have Eye of Kessen and then Digester Diamond. Eye of Kessen, it is our best passive trinket, but primarily on longer fights. And you have a good dealt trinket, like, what's that called? The Suspicious Energy Drink. That could be better. Like, it depends. I think fundamentally here, this is like a sim yourself question. Try and figure out what are my options. You can put that in top gear to get a good view of what is going to end up best for you specifically. But as I said, remember when you replace stuff like weapons that have embellishments, take that in consideration when you're doing the sims. Now for Frost, it looks quite similar. It's just that we don't consider best in slots. We have just a diamond, halves the cards, and importantly for Myth Plus, we have the improvised Safarian Pacemaker. If you haven't been able to pick this up, this is actually a really good option. It depends a little bit if you are running Deathbringer, but most people are doing that, so the crit is very valuable. Otherwise, that's going to be a bit devalued, and you might want to pick it up Eye of Kessen instead. Fun fact: so two-hander Frost is actually coming back a little bit. I've seen rumors around two-hander Breath actually being pretty good with best in slots. So just to keep that in mind as well, if that's something you like to play. It's a bit of a weird one, but honestly, it seems really high, so you might actually see that showing up on the meters somewhat soon. Keep that in the back of your head. You might want to run two-hander best in slots with Breath for optimal play. Now, those are the Dinos. I didn't say much about Frost, but the same thing applies, right? Sim yourself in a proper manner and consider what the upgrades are, and then you're going to be pretty good. Now, for the bug, Unholy DKs can dismiss and resummon your pet to gain essentially double the advantage from Unholy Blight and Unholy Pact. So how it works, it turns out that both Unholy Blight and Unholy Pact, they deactivate when you summon your pet if you dismissed it when it was in Dark Transformation. How you do this is that you press the Dark Transformation, you wait for it to just run out, you dismiss it and resummon it. When you do that, it's going to reapply Unholy Blight and Unholy Pact. This is quite nice because you get like double the value of those talents, but importantly, you also get these virulent plague applications. So when your DT finishes, you consume your dots. Since Unholy Blight is running, it's going to reapply them, so you don't have to press another outbreak. Pretty neat, right? I have reported this, by the way, so it's not like I hope you don't take this as me just spreading game-breaking bugs. It gives you a couple % but I don't play with it myself personally. Hopefully, Blizzard, hello, I sent you a message already. Please fix this, because I think it's a bit degenerate behavior. Anyway, that was my weekly whatever. Hopefully it was useful, and you can take some good stuff away from this. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought about this video. Upvote, downvote, consider subscribing. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.